So I've been doing a lot of sketches on my faces because I still don't feel comfortable. So I'm just going to bring you and show you what I've been doing to help myself improve on my faces. So a couple of things that I did is I took one page out of my sketchbook, and I've realized I've been doing a couple portraits for some people. I did one for Sheriff, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, and another one for my friend Emmanuel. And I realized that I can use a lot of work on my faces, and even though I like to do comic books, it's nice to have good proportion on my faces. Okay, so this is about as zoomed in as I want to get, maybe here. Okay, so I took a simple HB pencil, a really simple pencil, really easy to use, really soft, and I just started with basic construction lines. I started with a simple oval, and then you can see these lines that I never erased. And so I did like 2 lines for where my box around my eyes will go. And then I did another line somewhere down here where I wanted my nose to end. And then you can kind of see one more line right here where my mouth was supposed to be. And I decided to make this drawing semi-realistic. So a little bit more detailed than a comic book drawing, especially in the shading, but still not full-blown realism. And the reason I do that is because I want to push myself, but I don't want to go full realistic because, well, I'd like to work in comic books and they're not drawn to full realism. So I started with that, and I decided to do what I was comfortable with. So I did a rounded nose. I did a basic eye shape, which I'll probably do a video about next week. And then I did simple eyebrows, and I tried to be quick about it and loose. So I did a basic shape for the face. It came out kind of heroic, the nice jawline here. And overall, I was quite satisfied with this portion of the face. And then I ran into a problem here, which is that my eyes, the separation is good. It's about 1 eye width. So this width here is about the same as this width here between them. But the eye was too high up, pushing against the brow. So I tried to darken it more to make it look like it's more recessed in there. And I think I did pretty good on that. And I finished with a simple hair. And, I'm not worried too much about the hair. Didn't quite care. I think this should be a little bit more rounded on the top. Maybe more up here. Maybe. And simple shading everywhere just to get the point across. I like the way the lips and the nose came out. Excuse me. Then what I decided to do was turn it 90 degrees and look at a profile view. So we have a front view, and I wanted a side view. So I just continued these lines across, just really basic lines, and you can see them kind of continuing. Again, this was taken with my phone, so it's not the best quality. I tried to optimize it, but it's really tough. So I tried to continue these lines and draw the same face pointing sideways, and I began to realize the big problem that I have is that I couldn't carry over the proportions and the shape. This face does not look like it belongs to this face. It looks like it's a totally different person. The nose isn't as bulgy. The eyes are too far forward and too big. These have smaller eyes and much lighter eyes. The eyebrows look okay. They look too thick, from my opinion, and the chin looks like it's too jagged and pointed forward, whereas here it looks like it's a little bit of a simple saggy chin. So I was definitely not satisfied with that, and of course I butchered the hair because I was trying to rush it. So then I thought, oh, I'm having some problems with that perspective, huh? So then I decided, okay, let's do one more. Let's do one more front-facing person. So I did another one. I did some simple construction lines. I did an oval. You can't really see it at this point. And then I decided to make a more blocky person. And my reasoning behind this was if I make it more blocky, I can play with the shapes better. So you can't see it anymore at this point, but I had a big block for the nose. I had kind of like where the block of the nose ended, I made 2 lines going out like that. And that would be where my lips would extend to. And I shaded all these in, and I made really dark outlines around the eye. And I didn't worry too much about complete symmetry. And I'm very satisfied with the way this one turned out. The nose was a little different, something new that I wanted to try. This distance between the lip and the chin is a bit exaggerated, but it doesn't look too bad. And the chin looks a bit big, but if I would cut the chin maybe right here, I think it would look really nice. And I was very satisfied with this. So I thought, okay, well, my front facing is not that bad, but I should work on different features to make sure that, I could get something cool out of it. Then I decided, well, let me try my 3/4 view, and I immediately ran into problems. I started with an oval, and then I tried to do some construction lines, and everything just fell apart. I mean, this looks sort of, shaped here with this silhouette here, but the nose looks like it's pushed into the skull, and this looks like it's further out than the nose, which is a problem. And the lips look like they're sagging halfway down, and it looks like he doesn't really have a chin. This part is too long. This ear is, positioned a little bit wrong. The eyebrows are too close together. This distance is throwing me off, and I don't have strong shading here to mark a shadow. So everything about it just did not look like it was not helping. It was not good. And the reason I show you guys this is because, well, I want to improve, and I'm hopefully trying to, show you guys how to improve too. So to change it up, I decided to do one more front face just to make sure that, I'm satisfied with that. And when I did this one, I kind of liked the way it turned out. It reminded me a lot of the Bruce Wayne from Nightfall. I don't know if you've ever read that comic book. But it reminded me a lot of that kind of drawing. I don't remember who does the drawing there. Very blocky, but still very defined features and very rugged. So I could realize, okay, my front-facing features, again, they're not that bad. Let me try a 3/4 view. And I tried a 3/4 view of a similar facial structure, and it fell apart again. The lips became too bulgy. The nose, it's really hard to see in this image if I zoom out a little bit. The nose is flat to the face. There's no real depth. I started to have major problems. I had too much darkness here. It looks like he's got a protruding bone and then like a deformity. It was a disaster. So having seen that, having looked at this whole page, take a step back and look at it, I realized I need to work on my faces a lot. My front faces, I'm kind of satisfied, but I don't want to run into any problems where they all start to look the same. And I want to be so comfortable with my front face that I could turn it on its side and know what it's supposed to look like. And I didn't feel that comfort. So I decided to try again. And I did 4 more faces. This time a little bit more cartoony and less realistic. So less on the shading, more on the structure. And these are all just front facing. I wanted to work on my front facing. So as you can see, they all have the construction lines running through them. All of them have it. And we'll start with this one up here. This is the first one I did right here. There we go. And this is another blocky one with a different type of chin, very Superman-esque. Kind of nice. I kind of like it. Then I decided to do a bald because I decided, you know what, I'm getting too distracted figuring out where my hairline is supposed to go. I'm working on my face, not on my hair. So I'm going to try a bald one and see what it looks like. And I kind of like this one. The nose isn't perfectly symmetrical, and I actually kind of like that. It gives it a lot of personality. The eyes, I think they're too far apart. Same with this. But, I started to see I began to see the problems that I was having. So I decided to make a bigger face on my page. This is another page, of course. And the bigger the face got, the more exaggerated the problems got. This distance here is almost double this distance here. So I began to realize, oh, I'm spacing them out too much. I'm busting an Uma Thurman here. This part of the face looks okay, but up here is where the problems begin to occur. And then for kicks, I decided to draw a girl, which I tend to stay away from because I'm not comfortable yet. And that's something I'm working on. And once I get comfortable, I'll probably do a video separately on that. But I decided to do a girl. The lips came out okay. The chin was nice and pointed. But I was not happy with these cheekbones. I was not happy with the eyes overall. I thought the eyebrows were okay as well. And again, I got distracted by the hair. But being a girl, I didn't want it to be bald because I felt that maybe my features weren't good enough to show that it's a girl, even though it's bald. So having done 2 pages of faces, I realized I do definitely need to do a study on just faces. And I recommend you do that. Take something that you normally draw and draw it big. Draw it big, draw it different, draw it at different sides and different angles, and you'll start to see where you're falling apart. And if you can recognize where you're falling apart, then you can go with that. You can run with it, and you can improve. So I decided to do a study. So on the next page of my sketchbook, I sectioned it off and created 4 separate sections. So here we are. This is the full page. You can see it there, and I decided you can kind of see the section lines. Again, this is taken with my phone, and it's not the best quality. I'm sorry about that. I'll try to upload a better quality to the website, facebook.com/Let's All Sketch. But I decided to go one at a time and not worry about shading, not worry about hair, and just focus on facial features. So I started up here. This was my first face, and I decided to give him a kind of a double chin. And again, I always start with the oval, and I made different types of ovals, more wider up here and thinner here but wider here. And I just kind of played with the shapes of the ovals, didn't make 2 ovals the same. Some of them even have a bigger bottom than a bigger top, and we'll see that more as we go down. And I decided to just throw different shapes on these faces, try different noses, try, different things with the lips, maybe like smaller bottom lip, a thicker bottom lip, a wider lips on a thin face, a very thin face with big accented cheekbones, and a thin nose. And I just started trying different things, and the more I tried, by the time I got to, so I started here, by the time I got to about, and then I did this one and this one, by the time I got here, I realized I can definitely see an improvement between how I'm structuring my face here and how I'm structuring it here. Here, between this one and this one, I really had to think hard about how to make it look different. But as I kept going, I thought less and less about it. I thought, oh, well, let's try this now. Oh, let's try this now. Let's try giving him a Jay Leno chin. Oh, that looks pretty cool. Let's keep some part of this chin, but now let's try something different. Let's try making him older. And so I gave him more wrinkles and a little bit more of eyeshadow and sag and a more droopy nose, stuff like that. I like the older look, so I said, oh, let's make a chubby old guy. Boom, chubby old guy, got it. And then I thought, oh, I like the chubby old guy look. Let's give it like a sensei, wise old man look. Got that. Cool, now let's give it kind of like a grumpy, maybe a villain, old villain look. Cool, got that. Okay, now let's bring it back. Let's give it a very fat look. Okay, kind of like a chubby face. Not very happy with it, but hey, we're trying. We're doing a study here. We're studying different shapes. And again, you can tell the ovals are different. This is a very pointy oval. You can see it underneath. This is a very square shape. This is almost circular. This one had the oval thin up here and then just come out and then come around and then thin up again. So different shapes. And then I thought, okay, I'll make them a little bit bigger and I'll try 4 last ones. Oh, front face. And, I just started to refine some of these things. I want them to look totally different, and but I want them to look similar age. And you can clearly tell these guys look very much around the same age, but totally different. We have different shapes of the mouths. We have different types of noses, different nose lines or laugh lines, different cheekbones, different eye shapes. That's another thing that I worked on, is different eye shapes, different eyebrows, different way the brow line falls on the face, right? And just different chins, different everything. So having done this, I stepped back from it. I took a break, and this is all in one day. I was watching a tournament for a video game that I play, and while I was watching that, I was just doodling these things on the side. And, I finished watching the tournament, came back to this and said, you know what, I made some pretty good improvement there. So now that I've made that improvement, let's try side faces. Because that's where another problem I was having. My side faces were not looking too good. And my 3/4 faces, good lord, those look horrible. So I thought, this is going to take me a long time to fix. But this is almost there. So let me work on this one next. I don't want to discourage myself. So I worked on side faces, and I started with basically a kind of like almost like a straight line, and then a circle, and then kind of like take the circle that you have right here and take the straight line that you have here and connect them. Like just draw a line between them. You can kind of see it on some of these. There's like that straight line and then the circle that runs around and then the straight line down. And the idea behind that is, okay, I got my circle. Let me see if I could do this. My line and there, and that's my jawline, my chin, and this is my forehead, and the back of my head will be right here. Once I did that, I drew a straight line like that around a third of the way down, and then another straight line about a third of the way in, and that would be where my ear and jaw would meet. So where this line meets the ear. And so then I started working on my side faces, and I decided to just draw 4 side faces, not shade them, but just draw different ones. And I didn't think too much about it. I just drew and, tried different things. And, after having drawn these 2, I looked at them and I said, the eyes look kind of weird. They look kind of bulgy and a bit too far forward on this one. So on this one, I thought, I'll make the eye more squinty and pushed back. And I'll make the forehead pop out more. Okay, and I kind of like that a little bit more. It looks a little bit more realistic. I also thought, the ear is a little bit high up on his head. He looks kind of like he has a long head. So I kind of like this face a little bit better. And then I thought, okay, well, how can I make that face look different? So I decided to give him a little bit more feminine features, make this a little bit different. Again, I had the eye problem. I have a little bit of a problem here with the bulge. Then I thought, okay, I'll make one last one, a bigger one, and see what I come up with. And in doing the hair, I kind of covered some of the features, but I made this pop a little bit and then the line come in. The eyebrow was way too long. The eye was a little bit forward. It should have been maybe start here and come back here. The nose was a little long, and that's okay, but the lip and the chin were very thin and very close together, and the ear was kind of small. If you make a long nose, you need a long ear. So I started to see some big problems there, and I started to realize why I'm not getting the translation from this to that. And it's because, well, I'm not thinking about where to put this eye, how far forward. And I'm not thinking about how this chin, how this bone here reacts with the rest of the face. I'm just kind of throwing lines in there and trying to figure it out. So as you can see, I tried different lines, right? I tried just one line for the cheekbone, and then maybe one line here and a strong one here, and maybe like a softer line and then a very, very much more heavy line here, and then an inverted line with a strong line and a strong line, kind of showing that rounded cheekbone popping out, but I still didn't feel comfortable. So again, I sectioned off the face, and I have it here. I'm looking at it on the side too. I sectioned off the next page into 4 sections, and I drew a bunch of ovals and a bunch of lines and just started working on that. And here we are. So as you can see, I started up here, and you can kind of see here I drew the eye line. Here's my oval, and then the straight line down. So you kind of see where this line here, straight line, and then comes to an oval. And we have our straight line, and there was another one here. And you can kind of see them on some of these where they meet. And I began just practicing different shapes of chins. So for this one, I thought, I want to do a weird chin because I want to work on this cheekbone area. So I focused more on that and less on eye and eyebrows. You can see this brow is kind of squashed. The lips are kind of weird. But once I kind of liked this chin and this cheekbone interaction, I thought, okay, well, let's try something different. And let's just try different things for all of them. So I tried less lines and more thicker lines. So this one had more lines. There's one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and then, one here. This one just had like the 1, the 2, maybe about the same number of lines, but less strong lines, more kind of softer, kind of bulkier lines. This one had more of a double chin thing going on, and again, the eye was giving me a problem, so I decided to really focus on that in the next one. Give it a really simple square chin, focus on the eye depth, focus on the eye depth, these two with the square chins. I didn't want to think about the chin. I just wanted to look at the eye. Focus on eye depth. Again, square chin. Try to vary the nose on all three of these just to make sure it's different. And then I started working on the eye and the forehead. So I went back to, okay, the eye and the forehead. How are those things going to affect the face? Eye and forehead, okay, there we go. I did this one last. I jumped here because I didn't want to, I realized I was smudging some of them. That's why you see all these smudges. So I jumped here. I did this eye and forehead and tried to like play with the eyebrow depth and how to make it look like it's curving in. That kind of stuff. And then I jumped back here and I decided, all right, let's apply all of these concepts. And I did this really bad eyebrow. I hate it. But the overall facial structure is kind of nice, kind of unique. And then I just tried 3 more. And these 3 were just to show off, okay, well, let me take a look at 3 way different noses, way exaggerated features. I went for almost like caricatures, very exaggerated, cartoonish, ridiculous levels of exaggerated. But the point of that is to really show the differences between these features. So I did this, this, and this. Totally different cheekbone structures, totally different noses. This one's very pointy and short, very long and thick, kind of like mine. And this one's very flat, almost either Hispanic or Asian of some kind. And again, the ear is something I still need to work on, and the neck, so you can kind of see I kept erasing and trying different things. But this was 2 studies that I did, and I'm going to do one more on 3/4 view. But hopefully this video helps you guys and helps you guys realize that no one's perfect and we all have to learn. And the important thing about learning is you have to identify what you're not good at, and then just start picking it apart and become really good at it. And it's all up to you guys at that point. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you want to check out the JPEGs for these, it's at facebook.com/letsallsketch. All these will be up there on JPEG, probably better quality. So go ahead and check it out there. And hopefully I'll have another video for you next week if I'm not too tired from Thanksgiving and from the holidays. Thank you guys. God bless. And I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.